Good morning, it's Karen, and this is the Finally Fall book tag. I think I have done this once before, and I do remember my answer to a couple of them, so I'm going to try my best to give different answers. I've got my handy dandy notebook. Here we go. In fall, the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. This is Ray Bradbury's The October Country. These are stories, and there is something about the way that he sets any story that he writes. They all have this underlying dread or darkness or something impending, and they have really stuck with me. The feeling of reading this book in October was on point. Absolutely beautifully written, but also dark and juicy. And there were a couple stories in here that I finished and I had to put the book down and go, whoa, that's a lot to take in. Nature is beautiful, but also dying. Name a book that was beautifully written and deals with topics of grief and loss. For this one, I chose one that I read right at the beginning of the year, and that is The Last Quintista. This is a beautiful book. This is middle grade, and it follows this girl as she goes on to one of the last ships leaving Earth before some sort of impending thing that basically wipes out anybody left on Earth. And her family has won a lottery. They are going to be put to sleep, but while sleeping, they're being fed subjects and academia, and she has chosen to go into, I think, biology and stories as well. And The Last Quintista, I think, is a reference to being a storyteller. So this book is all about storytelling. And there is a grief that's very heavy in this book that has to do with leaving people behind. And I'm not sure if it was completely delved into for this one, but I think it was done very well. And I think there would be a lot to unpack with this one. Fall Back to School, a nonfiction book that taught you something. For this one, I have chosen The Piano on the Left Bank. This is about a piano store in Paris, I believe. And the thing is I am a piano player. I did get most of what this book was saying. However, there were some things in here that I learned that were very new to me, and they seem sort of counterintuitive. Like, the more you play your piano, the more likely it's going to stay in tune. Basically, using it keeps it in tune and vibrant. And the way that you set your room in which your piano sets the tone, the literal tone of the instrument is influenced by where you put it in the house. I absolutely was inspired by that book, and even if you're not a piano player, the idea of an instrument and the history of it and its evolution is fascinating. So I would highly recommend this one. Also, Nonfiction November is coming up, and this would be a very delightful one to read. It reads kind of like a memoir, so it's short, it's to the point, but there's lots of little anecdotes and there's people that you follow, and it's a lovely, it's a warm hug of a book. In order to keep warm, it's a good time to spend with the people that we love. Name a fictional family or household you'd like to be a part of. So for this one, I'm gonna have to go with the Thursday Murder Club. They just seem so fun to hang out with. Joyce is my favorite. Joyce is the type of person that I want to be when I grow up. This is a story following 70-plus-year-olds, and they live in a retirement community, and they have a club where they like to solve murders, and of course a murder happens and then they have to solve it. This is a very funny book. Richard Osman is a comedian, so you definitely get that from these characters, but they are so wonderfully constructed that they feel like people that you've met before and that you want to meet. So 100% I would be friends with this group. Colorful leaves are piling on the ground. Show us fall colored spines. So I went two different ways on this one. I have found that in September and October, we get dreary days and sunny days. And so for that, I have two different piles, one for sunny days and one for the dreary day. Starting with dreary, I'm not going to explain any of these, but I did kind of pick them based on them being pretty delicious reads that I could sink my teeth into in this season. And this is my sunny day pile. More vivid coloring, but still very autumnal. Fall is the perfect time for some storytelling by the fire. Share a book where someone is telling the story. The Justice of Kings. This is being told by Helena or Helena. She is a clerk of sorts to a justice. A justice is a person that goes from town to town delivering law to its people. And she's the clerk, so she kind of follows him around. And some crazy things occur, and she is telling this retrospectively. So this is her as a early 20-year-old being told by her as a possible like 80, I want to say, year old. This is her past that she's telling, and she's telling her story of the justice that she is following. Conrad von Volt. He's great. She's great. He's great. It's so wonderfully told, and there is some tension that she brings to the way that she's telling it. So this would be a fantastic one in the darker months heading into winter. This would be a great transition book. Night is getting darker. Recommend a creepy read. Well, I'm not one for horror per se. I mean, these I find are just on the edge of scary for me, and this is the Lockwood & Co. series. I'm currently reading the 4th book, Creeping Shadow, and it's so fun. It is, talk about a great cast of characters that you would want to be friends with. This is such a funny story. This is like modern day, but something has happened and now all of the spirits of the dead have arisen, and they are a ghost agency that go and help rid places of pesky ghosts and poltergeists and supernatural goings on. Children and teenagers have the ability to sense the ghosts and the spirits, but once you hit a certain age, though, that talent sort of disappears. So they are like teenagers that are running this ghost hunting group, and it is so fun. I am thoroughly enjoying it and would recommend it. It is kind of scary. You are fearing for these characters, so would recommend this one. Days are getting colder. Recommend a short, heartwarming read. This one I had a little bit of a struggle with, so I have 3 that I could really. Okay, the first one is The Wind in the Willows. This is definitely a heartwarming read. This is a friends group that you would love to be friends with. This is animals. It is lovely. It is wonderful. There is a sort of wintry Christmas vibe to it, but there's also a summery vibe to it. So it's very nature-based, but I didn't feel like it was that autumnal. So I also went with The Halloween Tree by Ray Bradbury. This is the second one I'm recommending. Sorry, but he does creepy so well. The Halloween Tree, I have likened it to A Christmas Carol, but for Halloween. This is about a bunch of boys that go out one Halloween night and their friend has disappeared and he's been sucked into the past, and they have to journey through different events, places in the past, and basically kind of learn the traditions of Halloween, like where do mummies come from, Day of the Dead in Mexico. So it kind of takes them on a bit of a journey to find the creepy and the, historical background behind Halloween. The last one I'm recommending on this one is called Letters to Malcolm. This is C.S. Lewis, and he's a warm hug for me. This is a series of letters to his friend Malcolm. I can't remember if Malcolm was a real person or if it was just sort of like a writing exercise, but it was chiefly on the idea of prayer and how one should go about it. And this one was very reflective but heartwarming because it was encouraging and inspiring. Fall returns every year. Name a favorite you would like to return to. Hag was weird and wonderful and was just the right amount of dark. This is a series of short stories by these authors, and they are reimagining tales from the British Isles. And I absolutely adored most of these. They had such cool interpretations of the original. Now, they would have the story and they would also have the original story, so you could kind of see the points that the author had picked from the original. And I really liked this one for showing a little bit of culture behind the British Isles. Like sometimes we don't always get, we get a lot of history, but we don't always get the folk tales. And so for folk tale creepiness, vibes of a little bit of darkness, this one I'm going to be rereading very soon. Fall is a perfect time for cozy reading nights, or for me trying to wake up early before my kids. Share some accessories that you have for reading. I had to really think about this one because I was like, what is an accessory for reading? I mean, a bookmark. I have my favorite mug, and I don't always use that one, so I don't know. My favorite blanket is this really cozy one that I got from Indigo Books a long time ago. It's got like a nice fuzzy side and like a faux fur side. It's very cozy. My daughter steals it all the time for me. I might light a candle. Oh, and ambience. I always put on ambience on the TV. I am currently listening a lot to, it's called, they have a lot of autumnal stuff that I quite like, but they also have like a cozy cottage one. I also like the Harry Potter Hogwarts ones. You can't go wrong with with those ones. And the last one is spread some love and tag some people. I don't know if tagging really works the same way that it used to, but I'm going to mention these current channels that I have been watching and investigating and quite enjoying what they've been bringing to the table. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Karen. I'm the Book Liberaut. I explore all types of books. We'll see you again soon. Bye.